Hello, everyone. My name is Mike, and I will be the GM for session two of Trophy Gold. We are playing the incursion Hester's Mill, which was written by Jason Cordova. A little bit about myself. I've been playing. My name is Mike. My pronouns are he/him. I've been playing tabletop role-playing games for quite a long time. I've been playing Trophy pretty much from the beginning of when the game came out. Trophy was originally published in the pages of the Codex magazine, which is a bi-monthly magazine published by the Gauntlet online role-playing gaming community. I've been a member of the Gauntlet for a couple of years, and I subscribed to Codex. And when this game came out, it was pretty cool. So we are playing the version of the game that we're playing now is the full release. Trophy had a very successful Kickstarter about a year and a half ago. We've got the final PDF. The actual printed books are on a boat right now that are shipping to the U.S. and they are hoping they'll get the books out to backers before Christmas. Although given international supply chains, that is a big question. But we are playing with the actual. We're playing with the actual PDF that's going to be the version that's of the printed book. So I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, I've been playing Trophy for a while. I'm a big fan of this game. It's one of my favorite role playing games of all time, and I hope we'll have fun with it. We've organized this game through the Happy Jacks RPG community. I'm a relatively new member of that community, and I'm playing with a few folks that have been around there for quite a while. So I've talked about myself for probably too long now. Let's go around the table. Let's go counterclockwise around as you are displayed on my gallery view. So Cab, would you? I'm sorry, Vyrrk. That's your character's name. Vyrrk, would you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Vyrrk. My real name's Christos. Forgive my voice. I've been fighting a cold all week, so I'm going to sound a little bit weird tonight. I've been a member of Happy Jacks for a really long time now. Not as long as Curt, but a really long time. And I get to play in this game with new people, and I'm really excited about it. I am playing tonight Cab, who is a defrocked priest sorcerer, and I am very much looking to see how this plays out. I'm excited.
Awesome. Curt, would you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, I am Curt. Pronouns he, him. I'll be playing Talia, the beast cursed ranger. And this is my first time playing Trophy Gold. I've kind of followed its development through the Gauntlet forums, and we just played a brief bit last session, but what I immediately felt was like I got super excited because it was the same OSR feel that I got when I first started playing Dungeon World. And Dungeon World had that great lean into it of like really kind of bringing out the parts that I loved about OSR. But the things that kind of irked me about Dungeon World, like I feel like Trophy is really doing a nice job of kind of like straying away from some of that. It just feels much more open-ended. I really like that a lot. It feels much more narrative. So I'm excited.
Cool. Yeah, I have played a lot of Dungeon World in the past. I haven't played it in a few years because it's a good game. It was my introduction to the Powered by the Apocalypse games, but it's definitely getting long in the tooth, and newer games handle some of the situations better. There is definitely some Dungeon World DNA in this game, which I think is kind of cool. But yeah, Trophy's definitely got a little bit more. It's a bit more expansive. My critique of Dungeon World is I think it clings a little too closely to like third edition Dungeons and Dragons,
right.
Which is kind of what it was made as almost a reaction against.
Right.
But anyway, we're not playing Dungeon World. We're playing Trophy. Cool. Glad to have you. And Kevin, would you please introduce yourself?
Absolutely. I'm Kevin. I also go by Mack or Macku. And I'm playing Revel, the errant knight sellsword, bring in the pain and the smites. And I'm coming from the Gauntlet Discord community. And I'm just happy to be hanging out with everybody and playing some Trophy to Gold. So
Fantastic. We do have a fourth player who will hopefully be joining us at some point. And when she does, we'll have her introduce herself. So her character is Sarah, who is our sorcerer, and we'll be bringing Sarah along as an NPC until such time as Erica, the player, can join us. So, cool. So welcome. I've been really looking forward to this game. I want to talk very, very briefly about emotional safety at the table. This is going to be like the super like lightning round edition because we did establish our safety tools first session, but I just want to, it's a new week, and I just want to briefly talk about safety. So we're taking a layered approach to safety. The first and most basic is we're running with an open door policy. That means anyone can come and go as they please. Anyone can call a break at any time. If you step away, again, step away when you need to for whatever reason, and come on back when you're ready to come back. That's open door. We are using a set of lines and veils. That's our second tool. That's a proactive tool where we have called out various, like a number of topics that we either don't want to deal with at all, or only want to deal with under very limited topics, or under very limited circumstances, rather. I've copied those down onto a stick note, and I just remembered I forgot to pull that up, and there it is. So I've got all of those on a stick note floating at the top of my screen. So I will hopefully not take my eye off that. Any questions on lines and veils or open door?
And I do actually, real quick, Mike. I just realized that when I thought I was being all clever and metal with my description, I probably like stepped across a couple of our ask firsts by that description. I just want to check in with everybody, like see where we're like, like I guess like this is the part that about lines and veils that I do have. I stumble with is like trying to like, okay, we're going to tell this darker story. Do we stop before every description, or do we check in? Do people just like say, hey, by the way, that's kind of not where I want to see this go? Or like, what do you recommend?
That's true. I hadn't thought about the hunter. We do. I normally don't talk about, if we're going to have a discussion about lines and veils, rather than
It can be real
about
brief.
them.
I just did that in the back of my mind.
No, that's
Yeah.
cool. I'm gonna pause the recording briefly, so because
Sure.
this is a discussion for us and not for the perhaps dozens of people that might be watching this. Okay, and we're back. So as I said, we've got a set of lines and veils. We also have a few items that are under an ask first category, which means they're maybe okay under some circumstances and maybe not so okay in others. In which case, if we want to take the story in that direction, we'll pause, have a brief out of character discussion to figure out if that's something we want to go and under what circumstances. And our third safety tool that we'll be using is the X card. The X card, you use the X card when anything is happening in the game that you are not comfortable with. That could be a subject matter that you just don't want to go. That could be, like a line of, that could be like maybe someone has introduced a story element that you just think is off tone for the story. You can X card that. We'll take it in a different direction. It could be something mundane, like I've introduced an NPC that has a name that I gave them a name that for whatever reason you really don't want to have to deal with that name. Maybe that's, hits a little too close to home. It's someone you don't want to deal with in real life, and you don't want to deal with a person of that name in a game. You know what? The NPC doesn't care because they don't really exist. We can call them whatever we want. You can also use the X card to call attention and to pause the game if something is happening at the table between players. Or absolutely, if you think we're heading toward a line or a veil that we hadn't noticed because in our enthusiasm of play, we kind of forgot that line or veil was there, please X card we'll right the ship before we sail into too dangerous waters. To invoke the X card, say the phrase X card. If you're on camera, you can make the X gesture. And we'll that means we're going to pause the game and have an out of game discussion figure out what we need to do. Whether that's fast forward, change things, rewind, like rewind and replay the scene differently. We'll figure that out. That is safety in a nutshell. Does anyone have any questions? Awesome. So this is session 2. Let's do a recap of where we are. So our 4 adventurers our 4 adventurers are adventuring because they need money. That's the driving force of characters in Trophy Gold is you are desperate treasure hunters who have debts. You need to get money fast, and one of the fastest ways to get money is to go and look for it in the forgotten and forbidden places in the world where other people, perhaps smarter people, are avoiding. You have heard rumors of the abandoned village of Hester's Mill in a now mostly abandoned wilderness area called Torrens Bend. The story that you have known is that Torrens Bend was once a very rich, productive agricultural area with very rich, fertile soil. It's called Torrens Bend because the Great Torrens River does this big bend, and Torrens Bend is the land in the bend. It's very rich, fertile soil because, it's a floodplain, and every once in a while the river floods and dumps lots of nutrients into the soil. And while the flood itself is bad, it makes really rich, productive soil. Until about 100 years ago, when a warlord named who called himself Lord Galdrin came to the area and basically marched in an army and took over the land. The story goes that that Galdrin himself was a bit of a heretic and mocked the sisters. Also the saints or the sisters. That's the religion of this area. There are a number of saints. Most of them, but not all of them, are generally depicted as female, hence they're called the sisters. And they generally, each of the sisters has has dominion or domain over a particular they've got like a portfolio. And in this area, Saint Hester was the most prominently worshipped sister. Saint Hester is the saint of the harvest. She's the saint of agriculture, and her traditional depiction is a stern-faced woman with her arms crossed, holding a sickle in one hand and a cornucopia in the other. Now, apparently, according to the stories, Lord Galdrin was, he was a heretic, and he thought that the worship of Saint Hester was backward and made fun of the people for doing it, and regularly did some blasphemous things. And over the years, according to the stories, the people of the area got so fed up with Galdrin and his blasphemy that they rose up in rebellion, killed his army and killed Lord Galdrin. However, their acts were of such brutality that Saint Hester thought they went much, much, much too far, and ultimately cursed the village, cursed the land, and everyone abandoned the place. The fields went fallow. The fields went fallow. The productive land turned. The land produced nothing but thorns and nettles, and the people eventually abandoned this cursed area. That was 100 years ago. So you have come in search of the lost village of the lost town of Hester's Mill because, well, they probably left a lot of stuff behind that should just be there for the taking. And so you've been wandering for many days in Torrens Bend, trying to find Hester's Mill. So to recap a little bit about the game of Trophy. Trophy is broken up. A Trophy Gold adventure scenario is called an incursion, because you're going into places where you may not be, where you may not, you're going into places you probably shouldn't be going. You're making an incursion into places. An incursion is broken up into 2 or more sets, which is a bunch of, like, think of it as like, like linked rooms or areas, like, and it's, it's like a subset. It's like a subset of the adventure. Every set has what's called a set goal. That could be that you need to solve the set goal. You may need to solve the set goal in order to proceed further into the incursion, or it just could be that there's something in here and you need to find it. I, the GM, will tell you, the players, what the set goal is, and I will tell you when you solve it. But that's like out of character knowledge. In character, you generally are just kind of exploring. So the set you are in is called Torrens Bend, and the set goal here is to find the road to Hester's Mill. Now, in order to solve the set, there's 2 ways you can do this. You can solve it traditionally through role playing. Generally, there's a way you can narratively solve the set. And if you do the thing, you find the thing. That generally is involved, poking around, making some rolls, making hunt roll, making the risk roll, or just interacting with the environment the way you would in, say, the way you would in in typical OSR fashion. The other thing that happens in this game is when you make a hunt roll, you can accrue a meta currency that are called hunt tokens. These are not physical tokens. This is just a game meta currency. You can pool at any time. You can turn in a hunt token to declare that you have found a piece of treasure worth of gold, and the GM will tell you what that is. Or characters can pool 3 hunt tokens and trade in a total of 3 hunt tokens to solve the set. In which case, I will narrate how you have, or like we will all together just narrate how you have resolved the set and either found the thing or moved forward into the next section. So the set goal here is to find the road to Hester's Mill. So through your wanderings, you found what looks like perhaps some kind
Sorry, Mike,
of.
before
Yes,
you go
yes,
on, can I just ask real quick? And then how do we get the hunt tokens? I don't remember.
Oh yeah, there's a game mechanic called the hunt roll, which is, so with the hunt roll, basically whenever you're like looking around and like asking questions about the world, or examining things, or actually let me pull up the rules reference and just kind of read it. So the way the hunt roll is written: when you press ever deeper in pursuit of your goal or ask questions about the world, say how you are exploring your environment. Then take 6-sided dice. Take 1 light die for just asking questions and or exploring the world. Take a 2nd light die if you have a skill or a piece of equipment that would make your search easier. So you take 1 or 2 dice, and then you roll them. And then we're looking at the highest individual number rolled on one of the dice. If the highest number rolled is a 6, you gain a hunt token. You may also gain other information, but when you're asking questions about the world, the only thing you're guaranteed is a hunt token. So if you get a 6, you get a hunt token. If you get a 4 or a 5, you gain a hunt token, but you also discover something. Well, it says, the rules say something terrible. That could be like what that something terrible is. I mean, it could be, it could be you find bones. It could be you find like signs that there was a monster. It could be that you realize that somebody's spying on you. It could be like the treasure you found was covered in blood. It'll be something narratively terrible. How terrible that is depends on how high you roll. Generally, the lower you roll, the more terrible the thing is that you find. Because if you find if your highest number is a 2 or a 3, you encounter something terrible. And if the highest number you roll is a 1, you lose all of your currently accrued hunt tokens, just you, the person rolling, and you encounter something terrible. So there's a bit of a risk. There's a bit of a risk thing here. Whenever you can with a hunt roll, you really always want to try to get that second die. Just that really changes the odds of rolling, because you really don't want to roll that 1. Because if you're rolling 1 die, you've got a 1 in 6 chance. If you're rolling 2 dice, the only way you could roll a 1 is if you roll snake eyes on 2 dice. So that's how you gain hunt tokens, is by making the hunt roll. And if you get a 4 or higher, when you get a 4 or higher, you get a hunt token.
Sorry, thanks.
That's okay. Yeah, so in the game there is just to talk briefly about the mechanics. We went over the hunt token last time. There's also a risk roll. Whenever you do something risky where failure has consequence, there's another roll you will make where you'll assemble a small dice pool, roll the dice, and we're looking at the highest number rolled. With a risk roll, you may be rolling dice of 2 colors, light and dark. And we'll talk about that a little more next time we do a risk roll. We'll go over the rules then. There's a separate roll for when you fight monsters or fight other people. That's a combat roll. We didn't go over the rules then. We'll talk about that when it's time to actually fight. And there are also rolls for like if you want to help another character, or if you want to, or if you're having a contest with another character, like, if you're trying to stop someone from doing something, or if multiple characters trying to do the same thing first, there's a contest roll. And again, we'll go over those rules if and when they come up. They're pretty straightforward, but I don't want to throw too much information at you at once. So the story thus far. So you have been poking through. You've been exploring Torrens Bend, not finding a whole lot other than abandoned and overgrown fields, fields that are like starting to go back to nature. Although you definitely found pockets of areas where the agricultural crops have kind of gone wild, but you can still see there, like, you've passed a few areas that had, like, big pumpkin patches with, big ripe pumpkins. Past another, like, what was obviously a cornfield that's, the corn went to seed and grew up again, and the corn is definitely not as good as it would be if someone were actually tending it, but there's definitely, there's definitely, if this land had once been cursed, it is clearly productive now. In your wanderings, you found kind of a clearing, and it was a clearing because you realized that the ground had been cobblestones, but cobblestones that haven't been tended to in nearly 100 years. And so, like, the debris and so leaves and dust and whatnot have accumulated over it, and there's definitely weeds growing up, but there's no, like, big trees because it's cobblestones. And you found a statue in the center of this clearing. I'm sorry, what was her name? Sarah started examining the statue, pulling off some of the vines. And unfortunately encountered that there were a bunch of snakes. There were a bunch of, like, poisonous snakes that were, like, literally in the grass and the vines. And one leapt at her, and she isn't really sure where it is. It might have landed in her back. Did it land in her backpack? But yeah, there's but now that you've taken a step back and looked at the statue, you just know that the statue is of a man, and the man is standing with his arms crossed, with a sickle in one hand and a sword in the other, clearly in a mockery of the traditionally iconic position that St. Hester would be positioned in. And I think that's more or less where we left it last time. So I'm going to say Sarah is kind of off on the side, like this, like looking, like this, is taking her pack off and is like looking through her cloak to try to figure out where that snake went. Revel, what are you doing?
I think we're gonna take a walk around the area, particularly looking for places that, because we're looking for a path. So I think we're going to look for places that may be perhaps conventionally difficult to get to, cliffs or places of overgrowth, and we're
Okay.
going to try and find a path through those.
Okay. Cool. I think that sounds like you would be making a hunt roll here. So take a light die for asking questions about the world. Just pull up my dice roller here. My next question is, do you have a skill or a piece of equipment that would be able to help you here?
Yeah, I think since we are specifically looking for places that are hard to reach, I think athletics might come into play here.
Sure. Yeah, I'll give you that. So on the dice roll, do you have the link to the dice roller?
Yeah, I'm already in here.
Okay, cool. So yeah, why don't you go to the if you go to the hunt tab, if you pull down to hunt, and then you can just do 2 light dice.
2 light dice. Here we go. It's a 3 and a 2.
Okay, so you got a 3 on your hunt roll. So I'm gonna say that you don't get a hunt token. You don't get a hunt token. So I'm gonna tell you what you find. So you kind of so you're looking around and you went into this like copse of trees, and on the other side you saw what you would first thought was kind of like a small craggy hill, but now on further examination, now that you're getting close to it, it's not really a hill. It looks like it's a ruined fortress, a ruined keep, that was kind of like up on a. Looks like it was built on a small hill, but yeah, it's definitely the ruins of a keep. And I'm gonna say the terrible thing you find, and so which is certainly interesting, but the terrible thing you find is as you approach, there are like stuck on just simple wooden stakes in front of this keep are 3 human skulls. And I think that's sufficiently terrible.
That's pretty terrible. I'm not gonna lie. It's a little bit jarring.
Antelia, what are you doing?
I think I was when we left off, I was on all fours, kind of letting my hide hang down, and she was sniffing the ground, checking out how extensive this whole snake infestation was. And I think I would like to yeah, I think kind of just start looking around for any more examples of these cobblestones that might continue on in towards Hester's Mill. If we can
Okay.
find that road.
Okay, sounds like you are also making a hunt roll here. So again, take a light die for asking questions about the world, and take another light die if you have a skill or a piece of equipment that would help you here.
Okay, so I have the hunt skill.
Do you have hunting?
Yeah. So
I think that counts.
tracking. Okay, cool. All right.
And you got a 5. So take a hunt token. So you gain a hunt token.
Okay.
So you can tick that tokens track up on your character keeper.
First token. Woo.
Woohoo! On the road. We're gonna be rich.
Now again, you can so yeah, change. Yeah, so you have one hunt. You now have one hunt token. So go ahead and go ahead and set that to 1. And remember, at any time, you can declare that you can trade. You can say that whatever you can say. At any time, you can say that you can trade in a hunt token to say that you found a piece of treasure.
Oh, okay.
And the other thing you can use hunt tokens for is you can pool that all of the characters together can pool 3 hunt tokens to solve the set.
Okay.
So you find the hunt token. I'm just going to say that, yeah, looking around, you find, yeah, you found like 2 or 3 shed snake skins. Definitely rattlesnakes.
Hmm.
One of them's big, like maybe 12 feet long.
And I'll kind of
Which means there's some big snakes around here.
like take my long spear and kind of pick up the hide and like look at the others and be like, this is bad.
I have never seen a snake skin that big.
The venom would be very dangerous.
And Cab, what are you doing? Oh, and also I'll just point out, so there was that statue that Sarah was trying to find information out, but she unfortunately encountered a snake before she was able to find too much information about it.
Okay. I had planned one thing, but since she's not here, I'm just gonna kind of I'm kind of smirk as she's going through her bag, and be like, be careful of the creepy things about. You don't want to anger the saints now in this area, do you? And then I'm gonna kind of leave her be, and then I'm gonna kind of walk over and look at what Talia is holding up in her hands, and and then I kind of want to like look around for Rebel, like, where's the sellsword? He was looking for something, wasn't he? Rebel, are you close by, or like you saw this keep? So I just kind of try to get an idea where he is.
I will. I will let. I mean, I'll let Mack answer that question.
I don't think he like snuck off like sneaky rogue style, but I think he's definitely beyond visual range, gone off into like the wood line.
Got it. Okay.
And I think he probably would have been like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna go over and check over here and look for a path."
Okay. I think let me say, I don't really think there's any point in continuing to stare at this statue of whoever this is, clearly making fun of one of the all wonderful saints. But maybe we should move on, see if we can find what we're looking for. I'd really very much like to find this mill soon.
Is it, what time of day is it?
I'm gonna say it's probably this time. It's early afternoon.
Okay, I said it's
like maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
because often snakes will come out at night, so we should get out of here. I'll throw the giant shed, like, I don't want to meet its owner.
I very much agree. Let's go find Rebel. I think Sarah has enough to deal with at the moment. Let's see if we can figure out where we need to go.
Yeah. So, and Sarah still does not seem to be able to doesn't seem to have located that snake, but she puts her hat back on and follows. So, let's take a look here.
I'm sure that won't come back at any point. It's
Definitely not. Snake in the
No.
backpack, completely
no,
fine.
no, it's just moving on.
Yeah.
So you catch up with Revel, and there is indeed you go through this little copse of small trees that have grown up. They're maybe I don't know. This looks like these trees are probably maybe 30 or 40 years old, so they're not big, but they're big enough. And they were obscuring. They were, and it is autumn, so the leaves have started to turn. Some of them, the leaves have started to turn. In fact, some of the trees, the leaves have turned, like brilliant yellow and orange. And you go through the copse of trees, and you find Revel standing there looking up at this keep, and just then like a wind blows through, and it picks up a number of the leaves, and they just kind of like for whatever reason, there's just kind of like an eddy around you, and there's these leaves that are just kind of like swirling around you, for a couple of minutes. And eventually the wind dies down, and the leaves settle. But as they do, you're looking at this. You're looking at this keep. It looks like it was built on a small hill. There had been a trench built around it, but over the years, the trench is mostly filled in. May have been a moat at one point, but pretty easy to get across now. You're guessing it probably had a wooden palisade around it, which has long since fallen into disrepair, and has fallen down. So you can go right up to the stone keep itself. The keep is in terrible shape. Several of the walls have collapsed. Like one wall, like you go to the main keep, like one wall has collapsed. So you can just kind of like walk right into the building, but it is pretty dark in there. I'm going to say that the sun is on the other side of it, so that like looking into the keep through this like opening in the wall, it's very, very dark in
I think I'm
there.
gonna.
I was going to say, but it's like 3 stories, and there's also a tower. The tower actually looks like it might be in halfway decent shape.
Okay, I'm gonna walk up next to Revel and be like, "Well, look what you found."
Yeah, it doesn't look like much of a mill though.
No, but you know what they say: where there's castle, there's treasure. It
Oh,
might be
I thought
100-year-old treasure, but
I thought where you were gonna say where there's a mill, there's a way, but that works too.
well played. Shall we go take a look?
Sure, lead the way, unless you want me to.
I'm gonna kind of look you up and down and be like, I think you're probably more suited for such things. And I'm gonna reach in my pack, and so the whole thing is I can just like reach in my pack and basically pick something that's in there, right?
Correct. You got those. Yeah, the way the pack works
Cool.
is your pack has 6 slots. 3 of those are fixed that you basically roll. So you just get those. The other 3 slots are variable, and you can declare that you have any one of those things from the pick list, or if you want something that's not on the pick list that's close, we can certainly have something like that. That would make sense.
Okay. I think I'm going to take, I put torches in there. And I think I'm going to pull out a torch and kind of very dramatically like spark it, and like the fire kind of like swirls a little bit, and then be like, shall we, gentlemen?
Got it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that you don't necessarily. I'm just looking at your character sheet, Vyrrk. You already had 3 torches. So you don't have to use backpack
Oh, you're
slot
right.
for that.
I did. Thank you. I didn't even see that. I was scrolled up.
Sorry.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. That's even
So
better.
so I'm just gonna go ahead and clear that. So that, I'm going to clear that because you didn't necessarily need to have that because you've got six torches.
Cool. Thank you. Didn't even see that.
Nope, that's okay. I was going to say, I thought somebody had torch. Oh, you have torches. So yeah, you dramatically strike up one of the torches and you walk in.
Yeah, I think Revel is leading, but yeah.
I have the word Fort Durin on my notes from last session. What does that have any significance? I'm trying to remember.
Fort Durin was the town that you left from.
Gotcha. Okay, good.
Yep, do I have any knowledge of what this keep could possibly be, by the way? Be it for religious reasons or just in general, I might know anything about this other than it's probably Lord Goran's keep.
It's probably your best guess is this is probably Lord Galdrin's keep. That would make sense. It looks like it might be. It looks like it's probably about the right age. It's been abandoned for a long time. And this area was not known for like many military installations, so this is I'm just going to give that to you. This is probably Lord Galdrin's keep.
Yeah, I'm going to stand safely behind the person in armor and holding up the torch high, though, so he can have some nice viewpoints as we move forward.
Excellent. So you press in. So yeah, like one of the walls of the keep has collapsed. But the interior has definitely been weathered because it's not super watertight anymore and rain gets in here. But it looks like it's this area looks like it's pretty well sheltered from the from the wind and the elements. At least you can find an area that would certainly be. There's there are a number of rooms and chambers that you think that you can explore. There's a second floor that you could probably poke around in. Again, you probably want to be careful when you're poking around, just because this is an abandoned keep and like one of the walls is collapsed. So there's always the danger of stepping on something that can't actually bear your weight.
Right.
And there is a tower and there is like one tower, and again from here at least it looks like it's fairly still substantial, so that might be a good place to go and try to, if you wanted to go up to the tower like during daylight hours, that might give you that might give you like a lay to survey the land and try to figure out where your next, like what direction might be best to go in.
That's a good idea.
Because the tower is definitely higher than pretty much any of the trees you've seen.
Is it wooden stairs that go up the tower? Or we don't know yet, or
you don't know yet. You'd need to get there.
Okay.
So what's your plan of attack in here? Or and again, there's like chambers. You're guessing that's if you want to look for treasure, it's probably deeper in some of those darker chambers.
I definitely think that Talia is not the most fan of tight and close spaces. Feels a bit claustrophobic, and I'd like to kind of lean in on her wolf spirit, because I haven't done a ritual yet. See how it works. I'd like to do like channel my wolf spirit to just use heightened senses to either hear or smell other potential threats that might be in it before she goes in.
Okay.
However that works.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to use your ritual to try to sniff out dangers, or like, I guess tell me a little more. What are you trying to, so
yeah, so I think there's a moment where like she will like wrap her pelt around her and like pull the head down to where she almost can't even see, and just the smells of the wolves all around her, and then she just tries to draw the energy, and then then just gets super animalistic about what she sees, and just that sixth sense that animals have about danger.
Okay, so you're trying to let the spirit, you're trying to let a spirit wolf
Yeah.
act through you. And what
Right.
do you want the spirit wolf to do? So I guess,
Um,
so the way
yeah.
game mechanics.
Yeah.
So casting a ritual is a risk roll, and
Okay.
using magic is dangerous. So
Right.
casting a ritual is a risk roll in which you must use a dark die.
Okay.
And whenever you use a dark die, there is a chance that your ruin may increase. So this is cool. I love it. With a risk roll, so you are engaging in magic here. So what do you so I'm actually going to hop over to the reference, and I'm just going to read how the risk roll works so that we're all on the same page here.
So I hope that what I hope will happen is that if there is a hidden threat in here of some sort, at least that her wolf sense would help her detect, I'll know about it or know where it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Awesome. So you're
Jump
basically
on it, let's jump on me.
got
Yeah.
it. So you're looking. So you're gonna try to use this ritual to sniff out dangers, to know what you're getting into. Awesome. Love it. Okay. So you must take a dark die because this is you must take a dark die because using magic is dangerous.
Right.
You may take a light die if you have a background, a skill, or a piece of equipment that can help you here.
So I guess as a ritual, I'd use my wolf pelt. Is that my equipment that I'm using?
Okay.
Okay.
And honestly, if you're using like the way you were doing this here, I would let you. I mean, if you wanted to use a skill, I would say your beast's skill would probably come into play here as well.
Okay. Sounds good.
Because you're channeling the spirit of a beast. So I think your familiarity with beasts would allow you to do that.
Okay.
So you may take a light die for having a skill. You could get another. So before we get ahead of ourselves,
Right.
so what could go wrong here?
No, that's other players' job, correct? That's not. I don't. Right. Okay.
So what could go wrong here is a question for.
She could lose control of herself. Kind of fall into the beast.
That's a really good one. I was going to say something along those lines, that the spirit of the beast takes control of you for some period of time.
Mm-hmm.
What could go wrong is there is something in the fort. Something dangerous.
Right.
And it knows we're here.
Yeah.
Or there is something she doesn't know. She thinks it's Claire.
That worked too.
Right?
So many delightful possibilities.
Okay, so yeah, I think we have some stake. I think we have some stakes here. I happen to really like the if this goes wrong, this beast spirit kind of takes you over, and we'll figure out what that means. So it's possible to get another light die by accepting a devil's bargain. And a devil's bargain is a new piece of fiction that we'll add that is going to be true regardless of how this particular skill roll goes. I am going to toss the devil's bargain of no matter what, a wolf spirit will be following you for a while.
That sounds perfectly delightful. Sure, I'll do that.
But other people can, if other people have ideas for devil's bargains, other players can toss them out, because oftentimes players come up with better ideas than I do.
No matter what, she cannot invoke this wolf spirit again until the next day.
Yeesh, that's painful. I would take it away on that one. I like it. I think it's good.
Yeah.
That's it. Like I feel like I'd be making a really difficult bargain on not high stakes.
Totally. Yeah.
But I like that. I think that should come back for sure.
to just kind of play off of the, what could possibly go wrong is my devil's bargain would be the process of channeling this wolf spirit is loud and unsubtle. And if there is something in the keep, it is certainly aware of us with all of the screaming that occurs in this process.
That's a good idea.
No.
Cool. Well, you've got three devil's bargains on the table. If you like one, if you like most of one but want to modify it, that is also something you could do.
So I guess this is the kind of the narrative you can take.
Or you can say that, I don't like it. Or you can say I don't like any of these, and I'm just going to roll with the 2 dice.
So if I pick the devil's bargain where the wolf spirit will follow me, and I also like the idea that would be pretty noisy about it potentially, that it would have an adverse effect if something terrible happens, but that wouldn't manifest.
Yeah,
there's
well,
no matter what part that I'm trying to.
Yeah, it's no matter what. Yeah, like so my offer was like, no matter what, there's going to be a wolf spirit. There's going to be basically I'm going to be basically we're essentially adding a new character of some sort to the mix.
Right.
Of there's like a wolf spirit that's going to be wandering around doing God knows what. If you wanted to take the other devil's bargain of this is that your ritual causes a whole lot of noise, and no matter what, you're going to attract some kind of attention. That's another totally acceptable thing.
But if he succeeds, he'll still get the positive stuff of it. It's just he'll also have let them know that we're here.
Exactly. So the way that works is if you accept the devil's bargain, you get a second light die. So you'd be rolling 2 light dice and 1 dark die, and we're looking at the highest number. But if you accept the devil's bargain, that piece of fiction is going to happen regardless of how you roll.
Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and do just a straight no devil's bargain. It's early enough in the session that I'll save that for later.
Sure.
So I should have done the devil's bargain.
Okay. So
4 isn't terrible.
Okay. So a 4 is a success. However, so you get a 4, but it came up 4 dark. Right. So because you got a 4 dark, we're going to compare that 4 with your current ruin score.
3.
Okay, so the dark die is higher than your current ruin score, so your ruin is going up by 1.
Yikes. Okay. And at 6, you're done.
And at 6, at 6 you're out of the game.
Okay.
Everything's fine.
Yeah, everything's fine. Everything's fine here.
So you are now at ruin 4.
The dark wolf and a light wolf.
So why don't you give us so Curt, why don't you give us that scene? What does this ritual look like? What do we see?
Again, there's this she disappears inside of her pelt and almost becomes small because the energy, but as the energy grows, the whole pelt starts to expand, the paws come out, and her head comes up, but it's again just the wolf's head is over her face. You don't see her. You might see her lower jaw and tongue sticking out, and she starts to pant like a dog and acts very, very feral, and the head's kind of turning around back and forth, and the hair on the pelt stands up, and there's this obvious crackle of power and energy about her, and I think there's a leaning forward in, sniffing the air.
By the darkness, you don't see that every day.
So I think the complication here is going to be I'm kind of going back to I'm kind of pulling an idea from our what could go wrong here. I think the complication is you're really in wolf mode, and right. I think you're going to need in order to get yourself, because basically you've let this wolf spirit into you, right. And this wolf spirit is in control for you, is controlling you for now. So I'm going to say in order to get back into to control yourself again, I think it's going to be another. I think it's going to be some kind of a role for you to like gain full, gain control of your body from the wolf spirit again. So in the meantime, while the wolf is going, I'm going to ask you to I'm going to give you the condition of like spirit of the wolf.
Okay.
So I'm going to put that in under a condition.
And I again, kind of coming back to her origins, I like to think that as the pelt becomes more animated, it starts to bond to her skin again. Like you can just see, like maybe like, just it's starting to try to take control physically.
And I'm thinking while the spirit is in control, I'm thinking you probably can't. I'm thinking you probably like can't use your equipment because you're animalistic.
Fair. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll probably like when you want to assert control, I think it's probably going to be another risk roll to try to reassert control.
Okay.
But in the meantime, so that's a complication. But it works because your vision. I think so. Like if this were a TV show, I think what the viewers at home would see is we're like looking through your eyes, and as the ritual takes, as the spirit takes control, the colors that you see start to like fade out a little bit, and it gets like a bit grayer because animals generally don't see color as well as humans do, but but you can see deeper into the shadows, so that like what had been like dark and black, you're now seeing in. So it's like color fades out, but contrast goes up, and you can now see deeper, and you can now see deeper into the shadows, and you definitely catch a scent of death. It was very, very faint, but you catch the stench of death, and your ear, and you hear something like above you, and you look up, and clinging to the walls of this ruined keep, maybe 15 feet above you, like toward the ceiling, there are two like dark humanoid creatures that you hadn't seen before. They're hanging on the ceiling, upside down, like head down, clinging to the ceiling, and they're like looking at you, and you meet one of their gaze. What do you do?
Growl. Like hackle, and just like look up at them, and like slowly kind of like backing up away from we were just coming into the hole, right? The place into this first room.
Well, I think you kind of like went into that first room, and
Right.
this is like, and this, I think this is probably like this is like a big like entry hall,
Yeah.
but one of the exterior walls had collapsed. So this is a big room.
Okay.
It probably had a balcony up there that's you can't really get to very easily, but and there was like a staircase that went up and along one wall, and there was like some more darker chambers beyond. I don't have a map for this. I'm just kind of making it up. But yeah, clinging to the ceiling are these two like humanoid creatures.
Because I guess part of this too, I'm thinking, is I'm probably not as verbal, so I'm just trying to like body language let my companions know like that's the threat, just like.
So we have like the scene, right, of like holding up the flame like higher up in the air,
Right,
to, like see them coming through, right?
And
Yeah, like what?
Yeah, and when you do that, you see two pairs of red eyes staring out of the darkness. And I think that would be a good time for these two things on the ceiling to leap down at you.
Awesome.
So These are two creatures. They are like emaciated looking humanoids with like decrepit, like almost like black, like like black
Mike,
rotting
can we-
skin. Yes.
Can we take 5 real quick?
Oh
Just to
yeah,
get water
absolutely.
and stuff and
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is a good time. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
yeah, this is a good time to take a break.
Awesome.
What do we take 10? What do we take 10 actually?
Okay,
Okay.
10. Sounds good. Thank you.
perfect. Thank you.
All right.
So, our adventurers, you're in a darkened, like ruined, like main reception hall of this keep. Talia has welcomed the spirit of the wolf into her and is acting very feral. But saw these two humanoid creatures clinging to the wall like 15 or so feet above you. Met their gaze. Cab followed Talia's gaze, saw them, like raised the torch and like you saw them, and it looks like they are about to try to leap down upon you. What do you all do? You've got a moment to do something before they're on you.
This is my area of expertise, so I'm gonna get in front of the others. Great swords coming out, and we're gonna wait for them because they're above. So we really have to wait for them. They get to dictate the pace of the encounter. But when they lunge, we're gonna hit them back with big stick energy.
Okay, so Revel, you are going to stand your ground and take on these things when they come down. Cool. Cab, what are you doing?
I think do they seem to be at all affected by the fire as I like show it to them at all, or are they like it's just whatever?
They do not seem to be particularly repulsed by the fire.
Okay, cool. In that case, I am going to kind of stand my ground as well, pull my gnarled black staff out, and kind of like kind of stand back
Okay.
into the right of Revel, like just away enough from the big great sword, but close enough for protection.
Okay. And Talia, you are like, the spirit of the wolf is upon you, but
Right.
so what does the spirit?
I
What
feel
does
like
the
the
spirit of the
hackles
wolf
are all
wish
up
to do?
and she's just like doing this slow back pedal back, like just waiting to see it. They hit the ground, she's gonna pounce, but just like
Okay.
otherwise. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, so there's this game does not have an initiative system. It does have a combat system, and it sounds like you're gearing up for combat. So I am going to say that they leap off the wall, and it looks like they're going to each try to I'm going in trophy. Yeah, I'm going to say that they're going to try to leap. They're going to try to like leap on you. And how would I do this? You're standing your ground. I'm just going to say I'm just going to say that they're yeah. So combat and trophy. Let's take a step back. So it sounds like you're gearing up for a fight. So we're going to engage the combat mechanics. So combat and trophy doesn't really work the way that it does in, say, like D&D or even in a number of. It's more like combat in PBTA games that have combat where we'll do a roll, but the roll is, I mean, it's not like, I swing my sword, they swing their sword. That's not how it works. Basically, so the way the combat works is everyone describes like what they're, like what they are intending to do in the fight, how you are engaging in the fight. you need to have a weapon of some sort in order to engage in a combat role. And Talia, I'm going to say that since the spirit of the wolf is on you, just going to say you are the weapon. Like normally you wouldn't be going in hand-to-hand combat without like you normally wouldn't be going in with fisticuffs for to try to fight a monster. But I'm going to say that since the spirit of the wolf is on you, yeah, you've sort of got like spirit claws and you've got teeth and whatnot. So you don't necessarily need a weapon here just because you're still I would say you're still kind of under the effect of your ritual. So you don't really, so in this particular circumstance, you don't need to have a weapon. So for everyone who is engaging in combat, everyone contributes a dark die to a combat roll. But before we do that, everyone must declare how they are engaging in the fight and also how they are vulnerable in this fight. So before the combat starts, you tell us how you are vulnerable in the fight. Everyone then rolls one light die, and that is called your weak point. So basically, you roll this you roll a light die. That's your weak point, and kind of set that aside for the rest of the combat. During the combat, for every party member that is engaged in the combat, you contribute one dark die to a combat roll. So the first round of combat will have, in the first round of combat, we'll have, if all three of you are fighting, we'll have a total of 3 dark dice in a combat roll. So someone will then roll a combat 3, so it'll be 3 dark dice. Monsters have an endurance score. Generally goes up to 12. And the higher the score, the tougher they are. And in the combat roll, we will add together the 2 highest dice that come up and then compare that to the endurance score. And if you beat or exceed the monster's endurance score, you have won the combat. If it doesn't meet or exceed their score, and you wish to continue fighting, we can have another round of combat. We will, for every additional round of combat, we'll add another dark die but your weak point stays the same. Here's where the weak point comes in. If any of the dark dice matches your weak point, your ruin goes up.
Awesome.
And we will describe how you have taken damage in some manner in the combat. So the more dice you throw, the higher your chances of defeating the monster, but the higher your chances of them doing damage to you.
Mike, in your experience with trophy games, how many characters does each player typically go through? It sounds like it's pretty quick.
Seriously.
It depends. Oh, and here's where armor comes in.
Oh.
If you have a piece of armor, if you do take damage, if your weak point comes up in the combat, you can choose to mark a piece of armor to avoid the damage. But then that armor is marked until you have a chance to go back to town and have it repaired.
Okay.
So that's where armor comes into play.
Okay.
All right. So sorry, forgive me. So if I don't mark an armor and I get hit,
if you don't mark the armor, you take a hit. And so if your weak point comes up, you can choose to mark a piece of armor to avoid getting hit. If you don't mark the piece of armor, you tell us how you got hit in the combat,
and the ruin
your ruin goes up.
Okay. So combat can go as long as it doesn't roll your weak point. Like
yeah. If your weak point doesn't come up, you don't take any damage.
But every round of combat, more dice go in, so your chances of weak points go higher and higher. But your chances to beat it are higher and higher. Okay,
correct.
I'm with you.
And
Is there
again,
anything-
it's possible. Combats could be over in the first round. I mean, if you roll bucks, if you're on 3 dice and 2 of the dice come up with a 6, that's 12. I would say that's the highest endurance a monster could have. That's not actually true. Monsters could conceivably have higher than 12 endurance, which means you can't kill one in a straight fight. There are ways to lower a monster's endurance in the fight. You can conceivably if you could conceivably have learned of a monster's weakness, and if you're able to take advantage of a monster's weakness, that could lower their endurance that you're fighting. It's possible to, if you've got if you've got archers and you've got archers in kind of a second rank firing at the monsters, there's there's a mechanic where you can basically make a risk roll to attempt to lower the monster's endurance by hitting it with arrow fire from outside the actual immediate combat. That kind of depends on the nature of the combat, because if the monsters you're fighting can also hit things with range, if you're fighting something that's got if you're fighting a dragon that can breathe, you're fighting a monster that can breathe fire or something like that, an archer could conceivably be just normally hit in combat.
Okay.
It's also possible to attempt to not actually be in the combat. It's also possible to attempt to use a ritual against a monster.
My question.
Depending on how the ritual is defined, that could conceivably take them out if that's the nature of the ritual, or if you want to try to use the ritual to give yourselves an edge in the combat, that could conceivably lower the monster's endurance. But it sounds like at this point, it sounds like we're pretty much just going to have a straight up fight. At least the way we've got this set up, it sounds like you're basically waiting for them. They're there. They're trying to jump. They try to leap down on you, but you knew they were there, so they didn't get the complete jump on you. So they don't actually land on you, but they land in your midst.
And there is no way for ruin ever to go down, right? It's a one-way street.
There are, in general, that is true. You can go back to town and get healed.
Okay.
There are occasional magic items out there that can, there are some magic items that you could conceivably find that can heal a ruin. In fact, I think one of you started with a vial of troll blood, and if you drink that, it lowers your ruin by 1.
Yes,
Oh, cool.
I have that.
Oh, nice.
And I think there are a couple of rituals out there that you could conceivably use to try to lower someone's ruin at the risk of your own, obviously. But yeah, there's no cure serious. There's no cure serious wound spell in this game, to use a D&D analogy.
I go to the medic. Take my ruin away.
Yeah, normally, if you survive the incursion, you go back to town after you paid off your burdens. You can heal any ruin down to your starting ruin by basically paying a healer 1 gold per ruin that you want healed.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Okay then. So I think we are going to have some combat.
Yeah, I think I would pounce if they're dropping down in the middle of us. So roll the weak die first. Is that correct?
Everyone, please roll a weak die and remember what your weak point is.
It is a weird but really cool mechanic. I like it a lot.
Yeah, very interesting.
Oh, that's great. 4s are our bane.
Okay,
Perfect.
so we got
We're in trouble,
4.
Curt.
We got 3 and 4. 3 and 4. Okay.
Yikes.
Okay, so go ahead and tell us. So let's go around the table. Tell us how you are, Revel. How are you vulnerable in this? How are you vulnerable in this fight?
There's 2 of them. So Revel is in serious danger of focusing too much on one of them and losing track of the other and getting sideswiped.
Love it. Talia, how are you susceptible? How are you vulnerable in this fight?
I think my natural weapons that I've got right now are a little unreliable. Like it's the kind of thing where like I have the energy of a feral wolf, but not necessarily the tools and the talents. So it's like I might like leap in and just start biting into this rotten black skin with my normal human teeth, and not really going to be great.
Awesome. And Cab, how are you vulnerable in this fight?
I think I might get too involved in looking at these things and like trying to figure out what they are. I'll get too in thing and like they'll get to me
Take
before I
notes.
realize it.
Yeah, as they land amongst you, they reek of the stench of death.
It's fine.
And now that you can see them up close in the torchlight, you know, they have their mouths are full of like pointed shark-like teeth, and their fingers end in like black talons. So,
Well, at least they're not 12-foot snakes.
That's always the positive. Good job.
so, Cab, how are you fighting these monsters?
So you had said that using a ritual is like a whole different thing or whatever. Could I do like kind of cheap parlor tricks that are connected to my ritual that would still just kind of count without having to roll the ritual die? Like just because this is all narrative, right? This isn't like what we're actually doing. Or you know what I mean? Like it's not like I'm not calling down. I don't want to like call darkness into the room and completely absorb it like completely, but I would like to like try to like help them out kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I put some darkness over that one's face real quick as he goes to strike.
Oh, okay. So you want to try
You know
to instead of actually fighting, you want to try to use your ritual to affect the combat, because these guys are they're like right on top of you. They're like they're like
I think
slashing at you, and
I think my question is more of just like, is that something that's the option, right? If this is a narrative kind of deal, is that what it is? Or if I do that, am I gonna be rolling ritual dice? Like if it is, then I'll hit it with my gnarled staff, whatever. But like otherwise.
I think we've already established the fiction that you established that you were standing there as these guys jumped down.
Okay.
If you want to like pull back and try to use magic, but generally trying to cause magical effects, we're gonna need to do the risk roll and do a ritual.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to I'd probably wait for Rebel to hit first, considering he's a much bigger person. But I think once he attacks whatever he's going to attack, I'm going to be right behind him trying to hit it with the staff, if there's anything left of it. That's kind of my deal. I'm just going to try to follow behind him and not die.
Okay, so it sounds like Rebel's in the lead. So what is your plan of attack here?
I hit it with the stick.
Rebel smash.
Yeah. There's no real grace to this. He's got a great sword and he's gonna, giant cleave. Well,
I got a great sword and I know how to use it.
Horizontal cleave, if we're trying to get technical.
Horizontal cleave.
It's an okay sword.
And Talia, how are you how are you engaging in this fight?
So I think there's a moment where like I can spring with kind of wolf-like ability like over the top of both of my companions to the other side, and then try to grab one onto one's throat and try to rip its throat out.
Fantastic. Okay, so I think we have a pretty good scene here. Let's roll some dice and figure out. Revel, I think you are kind of in the lead here, so why don't you do the honors of going to the combat combat tab, and since this is the first round of combat, we've got 3 combatants, so let's do
again because I'm new to this system. If 2 4s are rolled, I'm done, correct?
Let me double check that.
I mean, I love it. That's great. I just want to check for sure.
Let me
be far behind.
Clone comes.
Let me do a quick. I'm not clear if your weak point comes up multiple times. I'm not sure if you take multiple hits. Let me double check this.
It's okay. Salia will be a great benefit for you later.
Well, you have a piece of armor, but you didn't take the devil's bargain where you couldn't use it anymore.
Right. I did not.
So you, if
Your
two-
armors, yeah, you still have your armors. You can conceivably steal your, and yes, for each dark die that matches your weak point, your ruin increases by 1.
So yeah,
TPK the heck out of a group really quick. That's amazing.
So yeah, if all 3 dice come up 4s, then yeah, you're done. But
that never happens.
that would never happen here.
No. I love it. Love it.
So yeah, this dice mechanic kind of matches that whole swinginess of like OSR combat, where you never know if your character's going to get killed.
Yeah.
So
question any combat you enter into. Like, is this really necessary?
Yeah.
Oh, and
you're saying in dark you run because if you fight you die.
Oh yeah, if you're playing Trophy Dark, if you're fighting the horrors, if you encounter the horrors of the forest, if you attempt to stand and fight them, you just die.
That's good.
That's the rules. You can't fight them on. If you try to fight the monsters, they kill you.
Gold tries to give you the slight hope that you might have a chance. That's
exactly.
I love it.
So Revel, I think Revel is in the lead. So Mack, why don't you give us a combat 3 roll?
Combat 3 coming in hot. That's 3 5s.
Hey, no 4s. Let's go.
4s. Good job. Well done.
That's a
So we're
big
taking
roll.
the
Jeez.
highest.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's 10. That's a chunky monster.
Nice. Okay. And with 3 5s, no one got hit. Why is this not scrolling?
Didn't scroll for me either.
I think we discovered that like if you click on the rolls button, so the left side tab goes away.
Oh, yep.
You can then scroll.
Now you can scroll. Okay, awesome. Okay, you have why don't you go ahead and tell us how you defeat these monsters? You've slain these monsters. Why don't we have the battle scene on how you were able to defeat them?
So it's not graceful. They're emaciated creatures that plop down in the middle of us and do their like hissing breath kind of thing. And Revel steps forward, greatsword comes out and golf swings one of them. And then Talia
like what so I kind of like how I kind of like if you've got a great sword, you're the cell sword.
Yeah,
if you want to say that you've like just flat out decapitate one, that would totally work.
Yeah. Sure. Goes and just like cleaves through the body. I was correct in that like Revel does blind himself to one of them. And Talia and Cab are right there to kind of pick up the slack in the dead zone with the gnarled staff and the claws coming out and just pounce it to the ground. And so it's a team effort.
Fantastic. Curt, Vyrrk, either of you want to add any details to that?
I like the idea that like Tom kind of grabbed a hold of this thing's neck and is starting to yank, and then all of a sudden it's kind of been cut from its body and is just easily pulls it away and like just stands there with it like hanging out of his give.
It tastes
Give.
horrible.
And then spits it out and
Drop it. Yeah, I think that's awesome. I really like the idea of Revel and Talia just like wiping it out and like Cab being like, yeah, perfect, well done, and like just kind of like lean back on myself.
Coming
like,
back for the second swing and you're done.
Just nailed it. Well done.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, you have defeated these creatures. So if you would like,
Fastest combat.
I'm gonna hop over to the bestiary tab. You get to name what this monster was.
Oh.
I mean, it's got a name in the book, but I don't tell you what it is. You tell me what these things are called.
Revel, you got the first kill. Go right ahead.
Lurkers, why not?
Yeah, nice.
Lurkers.
And I'm definitely over there like prodding them with my staff, like trying to look at these things and get a better idea what they are.
We're gonna say
Harvested from the body. Huh.
yeah. Well, I'm gonna get to that in just a moment because
Yeah.
now we've got a treasure phase.
Ooh, I like treasure.
Treasure.
I like this phase.
Yeah, you didn't necessarily learn really any of those. So the defenses of a monster are like basically there's like special abilities. Weaknesses are things that that may conceivably like aid you in their fight. You didn't actually fight them long enough to learn any of those. You just flat out killed them.
They're
So-
highly weak to great swords. This
That's
is what
right.
we've learned.
They don't do well when bisected.
Yes.
Yep. So the endurance, so a lurker's endurance, I'll just tell you, the lurker's endurance was 8. However, you were fighting 2 of them, so I increased their endurance by 1. So you were fighting 2 of them for an endurance of 9.
Okay.
Here's how the treasure phase works. We will roll gold dice. We will roll a number of gold dice equal to the final endurance of the monster when it was defeated.
Oh, wow.
So, for example, if you're fighting with a monster that had endurance 10, but for whatever reason you maybe took advantage of a weakness or you had archers that were firing from the second rank that lowered its endurance, and lowered it to 8, we'd be rolling 8 endurance dice. In this case, a lurker had endurance. One lurker has endurance 8, but generally for each additional monster you have, you increase the you increase the total endurance by 1. So fighting 2 lurkers, it would be you're trying to hit endurance 9. So 9 is the number. So who would like to do the honor of doing a gold roll? Now the way this works is you roll and gold dice, they're 6-sided dice. We are looking for a 6, and the way the dice roller works is as part of the Kickstarter, they were producing special gold dice, which are blank on 5 sides and have the trophy gold symbol on the 6th.
Nice.
So the way the gold works is for every 6 that comes up on your gold dice, you find, you're either able to harvest from the monster like body parts that you can sell, or you can declare that they had treasure on them. So for every 6 that comes up on your gold roll, or in this matter, for every like gold symbol that comes up on the gold roll, you find a piece of treasure that's worth a gold. So who'd like to do the honor to do a gold 9?
Go for it, Rebel.
Okay. We said 9, right?
Yep, gold 9.
Come in.
Ooh,
3.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
3 gold, nice.
Yeah.
So you found stuff worth 3 gold on these. So my question to you is, what did you find? Now, sometimes you can say harvested from the body. Now, sometimes depending on the monster, you could say that they had like valuable parts. Like if you killed a monster that had horns, maybe its horns were valuable. If you killed something that had like maybe like its organs might be valuable to a necromancer or something like that. Or you could just say that these things still had bits of treasure on, like bits of normal treasure. I'll let you define what you find. But what you find is worth a total of 3 gold.
I think given that they have this sort of vague resemblance of emaciated humanoids, then what we find is related to whatever they were before they were lurkers.
Yeah.
So it's a man and a woman, just based off of what's left of their clothing, and the man had a couple gold teeth that basically amounts to about like 1 gold, and the woman had some pieces of jewelry, a fine necklace, and like 3 or 4 bracelets that are made of a precious metal that we can exchange when we get back.
Okay. So the way treasure works is if you just find coin, that would just be gold you could put in under gold. If you find stuff, generally I will put that under found equipment. So if each of you contributed to the fight. So, and you got 3 gold, there's 3 of you. So if each of you wish to like define a piece of treasure that is, you know, along the lines of what Mack just described, you can add that to your found. You can add that to your found equipment, and just make a note that you know, like 1G.
And if no one's opposed to it, I'll probably take the gold teeth then. I think I think Cab would be fascinated by that.
I think what I'd like to do too. Well, I don't know if it's like I'm torn now because the focus of this game is to find treasure. I'm stuck in this wolf mindset who probably doesn't give a shit about treasure. So I want to maybe use this to pull back into myself. Like
I was just gonna say this might be a good time to attempt to pull back to yourself.
Like when she spits out the head, a necklace kind of clatters down onto the ground and glitters golden, and that's going to be the thing that might or might not pull her out of her wolf reveries.
I'm trying to think if I want to make this a die roll or not. Would it be like I'm going to turn this back to you. Would it be more interesting for you to make this a die roll? In which case we'd continue adventuring with you in the wolf form, or would it be more interesting for you to like come back to yourself?
Yeah, come back to myself. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't think we
feel
need.
like it wasn't high enough stakes yet. I think there's an arc there that would be fun. Like, oh, you're trapped now because things have gotten bad enough.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it. I'm going to have you keep the spirit of the wolf condition listed, but you are now back. But you're back. You're back in full. You've gained. I'm going to say the spirit of the wolf is there, but you now have kind of like pushed it out, and you are in control again. What does that look like? How do we know that you?
I think there's that much.
You are you again.
All on all fours, and then like the human hands slide out underneath the paw pelt and kind of grab a hold of the gold necklace, and like just look up and kind of smile at the rest of them, like, I'm getting closer. Yes, I remember now. This is good. And like the wolf head kind of slips back a little bit, and at that point, like there's blood, like just kind of trickling down where the hide had started to bond with her body a little bit.
I love it.
Okay.
That's so
Welcome
metal.
back,
I love it.
Welcome back, Talia. Good to have you join us again.
Yes, good.
Yeah. So if you want to put golden necklace, 1 gold under your found equipment.
Okay.
So you have defeated some lurkers. But yeah, you still have this keep to explore.
And there was some talk of trying to get up into the 2nd level to be able to see before it gets dark too. I was thinking to be.
Yeah, I agree. I think Cab would be very much. Well, as fun as that all was, gentlemen, maybe we should go up to the tower to see if we can find this mill of ours.
Yes.
Okay. I think trying to find your way up, I think that's going to be a hunt roll. So if you're poking around, again, so the way the hunt roll works is take a light die for asking questions about the world. In this case, like, how do I get up there? And take a 2nd light die if you've got a skill or a piece of equipment that would help you.
Who would roll this?
I mean, are you going as a group, or are you each going? Are you each kind of like looking for your own separate way up?
Yeah, I was going to suggest like go as a group, and then with the help rolls just for risk rolls, correct?
The help roll only helps with risk rolls, and you can also only engage the help roll if the risk roll has at least one dark die involved.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, if you want, if you're going as a group, I think we'll just have whoever's. I guess we'll just have whoever's leading, but.
And again, rule thing. So we get the worst case scenario. We roll that 1 and we lose all of our tokens. Is that all of our tokens?
No, that's whoever's rolling.
Yeah. So
it's just the individual who's rolling.
Right.
I don't think Cab would be the kind of person that like takes charge and like leads the way, but I think he's very much like pushes other people in front of him. However, I am happy to make the roll for like.
And if you want
reasons.
I mean, if you want to go and like look in some other areas down here while your friends are going up, you can certainly go do that too.
I don't think so. I think I'll probably stick around and follow them.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll be happy to roll it like I'm trying to direct maybe. Then that way I can still roll it meta wise.
Got it. So do you have a skill or a piece of equipment that's going to help you try to find a way up to the tower?
Torches.
Yeah, I have torches. I'm using torches to make everything, be able to see everything. I also, darkness is one of my rituals, so I think I feel very comfortable in the darkness. So I would probably not be afraid of the shadows.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do a hunt too. Okay. I think between that, you're getting some help from your stuff. So yeah. Okay, take a token.
I rolled a 3 and a 4.
Yep, I see that. Get a 4. So take a hunt token.
Got it.
And you make your way up these stairs. And who was bringing up the rear?
Talia, probably.
Okay.
There's a sense of I don't feel like we're safe yet. Like I definitely am looking.
Got it. So you find a set of like stone, like you find a set of like stone stairs that go up to the second level, and you could tell from outside that there's probably a corridor down here that leads to the tower. And so you go up the stairs to the second floor, and something terrible that happens is after you've gotten to the, after you've gotten like up to the second level, like several of the stairs collapse behind you. So you're in no danger now, but it's probably going to be hard to get back down again. So that's
stone stairs, wooden steps, kind of going up, or
I'm going to say they were stone. I'm going to say they were. They were stone steps, but now that you've seen that they've collapsed, they probably had some like wooden components that were
rotten.
That had rotted out.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine. It's not like we had to leave this place, I guess.
No, it's fine. I will certainly jump.
You indeed find your way to the tower. Again, there's stone steps that lead. There's stone steps that lead to that spiral around the inside of the tower to the top. And yeah, you are able to get to the top of this tower. And I want to say at this point it's gotten late in the afternoon. It's not dark yet. You probably got maybe another hour of sunlight.
Okay.
Let's see, but I'm going to say that so you're at the top of the tower. What are you trying to do here now that you're at the top?
Yeah, I just start looking down around the surrounding the ground around the keep and see if I can see a path or a road that continues on or anything, maybe even possibly see the mill itself. I don't know how far it might be, but see if
Okay.
they're just that.
Well, it sounds like you are. Well, you're asking questions about the world, so
Yeah.
I guess this will be another hunt roll.
I'll roll. Okay.
And again, take one for asking questions and another for using your skills or equipment.
Let's see if I can do this without discovering something terrible. No. The answer to that question is no.
No.
It's always terrible. I love
The
it.
problem is we need to let Rebel roll because he's only going to roll good things. It's
That's
us
right.
that are having
My
issues.
first roll was awful.
Ooh,
Yeah,
let's
that's a
see.
bad, ugly roll right there.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see. What is the terrible thing that you might encounter? So I think the terrible thing that you encounter up here is as you're like, oh, okay, I'll say this.
Yes.
So you're like, so you're like leaning on one of the palisades and like looking looking in, and the palisade that you're leaning on like suddenly just crumbles and you lose your balance. I think it is going to be a risk roll to avoid
That
falling
sounds
off.
like a pretty accurate thing. Yeah.
I think it's going to be a risk roll to avoid falling off the tower.
Can't
Okay.
one of us try to grab him? Like,
This might be a chance for a help roll
This is one light,
because
one dark.
I'm just gonna tell you right now that this is dangerous. So I'm going to require a dark die in this.
Okay.
So what are you doing to avoid falling?
I think like so I had my pole spear in my hand and one hand here, and as it starts to go, like I will just try to brace my pole spear on either side of the crumbled area to see if I can hold on to that.
Okay, so you're definitely using a piece of equipment, so you get a light die for that. You
Okay.
must include a dark die because I'm just declaring this is dangerous.
Right. So a 1 and a 1.
Yeah, 1 and 1, unless you are, and I think what's the worst that could happen? I think it's pretty obvious. You're going to fall, and
Yeah, ways down.
I'm going to regardless of what comes up on the dark die, because again, your ruin only goes up if the dark dice tells you to.
Okay.
But I think regardless of what happens, if you do fail, you're going to fall off, and I don't think you're high enough for it to be fatal. But I'm going to impose some kind of like physical condition, like like a broken leg or something like that.
Okay, I think I'll devil's bargain it.
Oh,
I think
so okay, devil's bargain.
I was going to suggest the fact that maybe my weapon becomes broken and I lose that weapon.
I was going to say that's a pretty decent one.
Okay.
Other possibilities for devil's bargain. No matter what, here's a devil's bargain. Yeah. No matter what, another another lurker comes up from the trap. Another lurker like climbs up from the trap door.
I like that one. Yeah, make it a bunch of racket.
Anyone have any other suggestions?
No matter what, the stressful situation of hanging for your life and having to athletically pull yourself back up means that the wolf spirit makes a comeback.
Yeah.
No matter
and tries to take over again.
Yeah.
No matter what, you were repossessed by the wolf spirit.
Or just you are repossessed by the wolf spirit.
Right.
Yeah, no matter. Yeah, well, that's how a devil's bargain work. It's always no matter what.
no matter what, it takes so much time as we're like making sure that Tully doesn't fall off or whatever, that the sun sets and we're not able to see what we're looking for. So we're gonna have to spend the night.
Oh,
Oh, that's a good one too. Well, you got 3 offers on the table here. Do any of those appeal?
yeah, I like the idea of this like this dramatic moment of her almost going over the edge and her companions pulling her back, and there's this give and take, and finally pull back up on top of the tower, take a deep breath, and the sun just sets down and it starts getting really dark.
Got it. Well, again, no matter what, I mean, the sun's going to set I mean, if you take that, the sun's going to set
That's true.
regardless whether you're at the
That's a
top
good
of
point.
whether it's south
It just
or
may
it's
set
top,
over your dead body. Talia.
Right.
depending on how the dark die rolls. So
Right.
So we've got so it sounds like it's going to be a risk 2 light 1 dark.
Okay.
And then how can we help?
Oh, that's true. If you want to do the way the help roll works, let me pull up the reference to make sure I've got this right, because
There is something there if I match it, I can get ruined too or something, but I still would like to do it.
yeah. So the way the help roll works is if you're helping, you can roll a light die, and the person who's rolling the actual risk roll can choose to use your light die can look to your light die as part of their result. However, if your light die matches their dark die result, then your ruin goes up.
Okay. All right. Well, I still would like to help. I think that makes
Okay.
sense.
The other thing about the help roll is you can do the help roll after the you can offer to help after they roll.
Oh, I see.
But
You just wait and see if it's going to be successful or not.
Well, even better then.
Okay, here we go. Ugh.
okay, 5 dark.
Oh, Curt!
5 dark. Your current ruin is 4.
No,
Yeah,
5.
okay.
All right. So can I still roll here? Because that'll give him a chance for it to not be that.
That is true.
It?
You can roll, and if you roll a 6, then yeah, if you roll a 6, then his ruin does go up.
I think that makes sense. I think
There you go.
thematically it makes sense that I'm.
Although if you
roll
roll a 5, your
Yeah.
ruin also goes up.
yeah,
Oh,
well,
jeez.
it's part of the game.
Yeah,
I
right.
rolled my
Okay.
No, I was no help. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I appreciate the effort. Well done. Thank you. Yeah.
I did succeed.
I would also like to volunteer to help.
That's tribute.
Let's do it. Why not? I
Sure,
rolled
go
3
for it.
5s in my last roll. This can't be another
Sure.
5, right?
Go for it. Well, you got a 1 in 6.
Mathematically.
You got a 1 in 6 chance here.
Oh well.
Nope.
I tried. That was a 1.
You cut our rolls.
No, I definitely feel like Talia's ruin is like the wolf completely taking over. She's just like, so that like maybe she pulls herself back, but I mean, I'm saying like as her ruin is creeping up like this, like when her ruin hits 6, it's going to be her
Yep.
running
So
off into the forest.
Yeah, I like that. So yeah, your companion. So I'm going to say that so this palisade you're leaning on, it does collapse, and you start
Right.
to go, and you and your friends like grab at you, and you're and there's like the dramatic music, and eventually eventually they do pull you in, but yeah, it's not taking you over, but you definitely feel the wolf spirit that you had called into you is not letting you go and is reasserting itself. It's definitely trying to assert itself more and more over you.
Yeah.
How do you how does that manifest?
I think like there's this broken like closer, not like there's this like a word and a growl, and it's just this whole thing of like, I don't have much time. Like this is coming for me.
Okay.
And then she'll skitter down the stairs.
And yeah, and it was just, and like, and Yeah, it was late in the afternoon, and by the time you get everyone up, by the time you get her up, and you catch your breath, the sun sets, and you're really not able to. You weren't really able to see much here. You're going to have to, if you want to try this again, you're going to have to come back. You're probably going to have to try again tomorrow, or possibly poke through the keep to try to see if you can find like old records or a map or anything like that. So it is now night. Just look at the time here. Oh, okay, we got still got the better part of an hour. So it's now getting dark. You are in the ruins of a keep that you knew had some you had some monsters that you have quickly dispatched. I'm going to say the night it's autumn, so the night's going to get kind of chilly. It's not raining, but it is starting to cloud up a little bit. What do you want to do?
First of all, I think I'm gonna lean over to Revel and be like, was Talia's eyes yellow like that before today?
Yeah, that happens sometimes, but it does seem like it's getting worse.
Fantastic. Well, we're gonna need to find somewhere to hole up for the night. What do y'all think? Do you think we should look around a little bit, see if we can find anything about this Lord Golran or whatever his name was? Goldrin?
Goldrick, right? Goldrin.
Galdrin.
Yeah.
Galdrin.
See if we can find something out about this place, or should we just hole up and try to wait until morning, check back up on the tower?
Night is young. Let us go.
You're gonna go poke around the delve deeper into the keep and see what you can find.
I think it would be like, I like the way you think, Talia. Let the darkness come.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick up my torch and be like, let's go look around, shall we?
Okay.
And I think Talia is all fours. Like she just doesn't bipedal anymore right now. It's just skittering around, just gulluming all over the place right now.
Talia.
I was gonna say, that's kind of awesome. Okay. You go delving deeper into the I'm gonna say so. I'm just gonna ask. So the stairs to the second floor did collapse. So how are you getting back? I don't think we need a roll. I want to know how you're getting back down to the main floor.
I think I like leaped down and then I just looked back like, what? Come on, let's go. Come on.
Like,
Love it.
I don't know, how bad is it? Is it something that we can kind of climb down if we're slow and careful?
I think you probably can.
I think I'd just be slow and careful, take my time.
Okay.
Like
I don't think we necessarily need a roll. I just wanted a little narrative of how are you getting past that obstacle that the dice indicated was going to be put there. So you get back down. You delve deeper into the ruined keep, and again, this place is pretty badly ruined. Like some of the ceilings caved in a few places. You can definitely see there's like plants and roots and like leaves built up down here. There's probably been animals that have been coming through here, and as you're poking through, you think you find where those lurkers had been nesting. You don't really want to poke around there too much because it's really stinky. But yeah, you delve deeper. And
I
so
think-
what go on.
So I think while we're kind of like searching around, I think I want to be like, so what do you people think? Should we try to see if we can find like a library or something, maybe a study that's left over in this place?
There might be maps, and so maybe some kind of study library, or even just a map room of some kind. Keep this large could have something.
I like it. Could be possible that there's maybe an armory where they kept those kind of things. I know a lot of times maps were considered important parts of war.
Certainly, we're taking a look for.
So I think this is so it sounds like people are making hunt rolls. Are you doing this as a group, or are you kind of like splitting up or like entering an area and like one person looking over here, one person looking over there? I think it will probably want a couple of hunt rolls just to.
I'm fine
How about
splitting
each?
up.
How about why don't we say just to just to kind of like montage it here. Why don't each of you tell us what you're doing to like try to find something interesting, and we'll have each of you make a hunt roll to see what we find.
I think like when there was all this discussion about maps and books and everything, Talia just got very frustrated and was like, I'm hungry, and just starts going on the hunt, like looking around for something to eat.
Nice.
So I'll do hunt. And yeah, and
So-
I will look around for not things that are dead and rotten to eat. I will try
Okay.
to find snake or rat or something.
Fantastic.
So using my hunt skill, and then would that be 2 dice, 2 light die?
Yeah, that'll be 2 light dice.
Okay. Can I roll above a 4? Let's see. Hey, there we
Nice.
go.
Take a hunt token.
Nice.
Encounter something terrible. I think the terrible thing that you encounter is exactly what you're looking for. Like, so like what kind of prey did you find? And I think the something terrible is that you're just eating it.
Yeah, I mean, snakes are obviously eating something. So there's a giant rat or something like that that just crawled out of a hole and just crawled out at the wrong place, the wrong time. And so
I'm just
like,
imagining Talia just pouncing on it.
like just come loping back into whatever they find. Like they're like, oh, look at this book that I found, and I'll hold up this bloody rat that I'm ripping apart.
100%. Yeah. So take another hunt token.
Okay.
So Cab, why don't you describe what you're like, how you are exploring this place?
I think what I'm doing is I think I'm actually like, even though I sell that stuff to Rebel and to Talia, I think what I'm really looking for is I'm really looking for wherever like the chapel was, right? The place of any kind of religious connection or whatever.
Okay.
To see if there's something there that might connect us to Hester's mill. We know that Hester, was involved in all this. Maybe there's something that we can find.
Sure.
And so I think being a priest, having being in symbols and omens, just like all of those things kind of connected.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go ahead and do a hunt 2. Let's see what we find. You get a token.
Is that symbol of 6?
Yep. Yeah,
Yay,
take a hunt.
awesome.
Take a hunt token. I'm going to say that yes, you do find what probably was once chapel. I'm just going to say, I'm just going to tell you, and it's ruined, but there's there's like tatters of tapestries, and you can actually tell that there was you could tell that this is a parody chapel. This was
Is it
originally
really the cult? Was he connected with the cult?
Oh, that's right. You've got a cult.
not me, Talia, but I mean, I'm secretly also doing that.
Oh,
But
Cult of Darwan. That's right. It looks like this was sort of like like, again, it looks like this was once actually an actual chapel, but in the past it was like defaced and like blasphemed, like, you know, if I mean this, if you know, if it was a Christian church and people would, like, you know, like hung the crosses upside down, or like
Mhm.
painted a pentagram, on the altar and that kind of stuff. That's not the imagery here. I'm just like doing an analogy
Right,
because
right,
I don't
yeah.
actually
Yeah.
know what I don't actually know what the symbolism of Hester really was. We can figure that out at the table.
We kind of established that there was like the sword that was
That's
the
right. There was a sword in the
Sword
cornucopia.
There could be like
Yeah.
sword
Or-
slashes and all that stuff, and
But yeah.
war over.
Oh
plenty
yeah,
of-
yeah, yeah. That's so yeah. There's another, yeah. There was a statue of Saint Hester here, and there was there was a stone statue of Saint Hester in this chapel, and someone had taken a chisel to her face,
Mm.
and the cornucopia, which, you know, it would have been carved out of stone, was like chipped off and like stuck into what was left of the hand, was like this old rusty sword,
Mm.
very much like that other statue that you saw earlier. But you do get a hunt token. I'm also going to say the other thing that you find while you're poking around in here is, I'm just going to give this to you. There is like underneath the altar, you like lift up the altar. There are a couple of there are a few vials of what, you know, may have been holy water, or I'm just going to tell you, you find you find another vial of troll's blood.
Ooh, awesome. Okay. Fantastic. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of collect that. And there wasn't anything like holy writings or anything like or anything talking about Hester's Mill, right? Just the iconography and the
Yeah, just
book.
the icon. Yeah, just that iconography. And yeah.
Sweet. I'm gonna grab those things and head back to our rendezvous point.
Okay. And let's see. Did I get everyone, or was I haven't gotten your Revel. Okay, yeah. So what does your exploration look like?
So Revel, this isn't his first time in a keep, because he was the storybook paladin before all the dark stuff happened to him, and walking around this tattered, ruined keep is just like conjuring up all of these memories of the before times. Cool. And at Cab's mention of, you know, the armory, he's like, yeah, I know where the armory is. And so he's walking through like the second floor of the keep, and, you know, every now and then just comes across like these little bits and pieces of back when this keep was occupied and functional. You know, there's like a standing suit of decorative armor, but it's all like rusted and mossed over, and it's just like conjuring up all of the memories from back then. But he's gonna go in and look for specifically the armory, thinking, you know, that's where he'd find a map to Hester's Mill, or at least a map, something that would point him in the right direction.
Okay. So yeah, I think your defense, I think definitely your defense skill comes into play here if you're looking for where the armory of a keep would be. So why don't you do a hunt 2 and let's see what we get.
Hunt 2.
I love like these like the glory days of Revel, like this like old like spectral tapestries hanging, you know, just that's awesome.
Oh yeah,
that's
there's like definite like temporal anomaly going on.
That's
like,
cool, man.
He's
really
looking,
cool.
and there's like, you know, gorgeous red and gold tapestries hanging down from the walls. There's courtiers. There's a princess that he just like walks by, and he's like, his armor is shining in gold, and then like walks through a beam of moonlight, and it's his current like more rusted armor. Yeah,
That's rad.
absolutely.
That's cool.
Absolutely.
So you got a 5. So go ahead and go ahead and take a hunt token.
My first token. Yay.
Let's see. You do encounter something terrible, but it was only a 5. So I'm actually gonna give you what you I'm gonna give you what you were looking for. So you do find the armory. It looks like or at least you find a room that you're pretty sure was the armory. Part of the ceiling has collapsed, and like rain and it's been exposed to the elements. Also, it looks like when they abandoned the keep, they probably took most of the weapons. There's a few rusted pieces of armor that you can find on the ground. However, you do find hanging on the wall in here what you were looking for. It is a tapestry. It's like a big, it's like a big heavy tapestry. But it's got a map of Torrens. It's got a map stylized, but it's a map of like Lord Galdrin's demesnes. And you're pretty sure that you're pretty sure at this point, if you took this tapestry, and I'm going to tell you that it's really heavy. It's kind of heavy, but you can add to your equipment. Tapestry of Torrens Bend. It is worth a gold if you sell it, but of more immediate, you're pretty sure that if you take this up to the tower and you're pretty sure if you take it up to the tower and kind of try to like match the landmarks on this tapestry with what you see, you're pretty sure that this is going to tell you which direction to go to get to Hester's Mill, because there was a village. There's clearly where the keep is, and there's clearly a town, and there's clearly where the river is. So you're pretty sure that if you can orient it from a high enough vantage point, that you will be able to go in the right direction. And I am going to say that does solve the set.
Ooh,
Nice. I get the appeal, Mike.
At least in the morning when you're and again, I'm not gonna make you roll or anything like so next morning when you go back up, you'll be able to know where to go. So let's just have a little interlude scene of the four of you. The four of you. So like, where do you set your camp for the night? Do you want to try to take shelter here in the ruins of the keep? Do you want to make it elsewhere? Where are you setting up?
Is there an old fireplace that we could build the little fire into or something?
Yeah, absolutely. There's probably there's
like
one
Great Hall or something.
Yeah, there's one in the ruins of the Great Hall.
Also, where we're kind of setting up camp, and we're all kind of like talking. I'm guessing we're going to talk about the stuff we found or whatever. I think I'm going to get Talia and I'm going to pull out the jar of troll's blood, and I'm going to be like, I saw what you did to that rat. Would you like something that might taste a little bit better? And I pop the cork and I kind of hand it to you, Talia.
Kind of just like trying to convince the dog to take his medicine.
Yeah, it's like I promise.
It.
I promise it has quite the flavor. You'll like it.
Promise.
Promise. Do you want me to warm it up for you on the fire so it tastes like fresh?
No, I drink raw. Thank you.
Okay.
So
it actually does taste terrible, but
yeah.
You drink it and you just kind of like feel it's a somewhat disconcerting feeling. You drink this and you just kind of like feel this tingling all through your body. It's almost as if like pins and needles, but at the same time you feel that the pins and needles are like repairing some of the damage. Right. It's also It's also like clearing your mind somewhat.
And I'll go to like just touch my hair, and like the wolf head will fall off, and the whole pelt will fall away onto the floor, and I'll just stand and warm myself by the fire.
Got it. And yeah, that will lower your ruin by 1.
Thank you.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Rebel, did you like lay it out for us or whatever, like the tapestry, or are we like looking at it, or what was your plan?
Absolutely would. Yeah. I think Revel's the last one probably back to wherever we've decided to set up camp. And like after the fire has been built, he comes in with his tapestry and pulls it out, unfolds it, and sets it up in front of the light and goes, "This is where we need to go."
I was wondering why you brought a rug.
Can we get
Sorry.
like a general idea of what the distance is? Is there any kind of, or is it really stylized?
It's pretty stylized.
Okay.
It's pretty stylized.
You had said we still need to take this up to the top in the morning to like look
Yeah,
at it, like figure it out.
Yeah, and we're gonna, and I think like, I think we're just the way the viewers at home would see this is, it's clearly morning. The 4 of you are at the top. The 4 of you are at the top. Like distance. The 4 of you are looking at the tower, or like at the top of the tower. Like 2 of you have held out the tapestry, and someone is like pointing at pointing at the various landmarks, and then the next scene is you walking past that statue up a overgrown, what you thought the first day when you first were through there was, you just thought was a game trail, but you're pretty sure this is actually the path to Hester's Mill.
Nice.
So it is now. So I think we're gonna pick it up there. Let's see. I think so. Looking at the time, we don't have tons of time left. What I think I'm going to do is just kind of like set the scene for the next set, and we'll set the scene there for the next chapter. Before we proceed on, however, I do want to point out that a number of you have a number of hunt tokens. If you want to declare, like before you leave the keep, if any of you wish to trade in any of your hunt tokens to declare that you found a piece of treasure, you can certainly do that. Or if you want to hang on to them for the next set, that's absolutely fine too.
I think I'll declare 1 a piece of gold. I'll still keep 1 token just in case.
Sure.
And just as a reminder for myself, we need a number of gold equal to our burdens before we go back to town.
Correct.
Got it.
You need to have treasure equal to your burdens to go back to town. Because if you don't,
I have in my found equipment 1 gold necklace. Does that make my gold token go up to 1? Is that correct?
Not necessarily.
I'm trying to figure out like.
Yeah, not well. You can do that if you want to.
Mhm.
The way, because if you find actual like gold or gems or something like that, I'd probably just say increase your gold score.
Right.
But this is this. So if you want to, but if you want to keep it as found equipment, some people prefer to keep it as found equipment because you never know. Like hey, I mean, using this necklace might be exactly what I need to have for this particular scene. This could be a piece of equipment that I could
Save
use.
that for the end. Okay.
So you could so I usually recommend hanging on to the equipment as equipment, because you never know when it's going to come up. You never know when oddball things are going to come up in handy narratively.
Okay, so then this treasure item, this hunt token that I'm going to turn in, I would put it into my found equipment or give myself a gold. What would I do?
It's up to you. If you want to say that the treasure you found was a sack of coins that's worth a gold, you can say that I found a sack of coins that was worth a gold. In which case, I would just be gold.
Okay.
But if you want to say you found something, of interest or you could let me tell you something that, or I could just tell you. So I'll tell you the kind of stuff that you could find. So I'm going to tell you that Oh yeah, that's true. So I'm gonna Revel, I'm gonna tell you. So was anyone else trying? So who wanted to turn in? So Talia is and Cab is.
Nah, I have one sad little token, and I'm gonna hold on to it for right now.
Okay.
I
So
had one. I just
Talia,
converted it to gold.
okay, you just like found. You just said you're just finding treasure.
Yeah, I just found
Okay.
it as gold. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna say what you found was you found an old rotted wallet that had a bunch of like that have a bunch of that had yeah it had you found an old rotted coin purse that still had a bunch of old coins in it, and those coins are worth a gold. And Talia, if you want to find something, I'm going to tell you that you found let's see, you found a tapestry. You found a signet ring that is in
Yes,
you found
that's what I was going to suggest. Actually,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
yeah
Nice.
you found a signet ring that is in that like looking it's got a stylized letter G on it.
Nice.
It is also worth a gold.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got about 15 minutes before our end here. So I'm going to say now that you found the road, so you are in a new set. The set is called The Road to Hester's Mill. So the road is overgrown, but it's easy to follow once you found it. It was hard to find because you didn't realize until you were at the top of the tower and looking around that you're actually on a bit of a ridge, and the road goes down into a valley that was kind of hard to see from where you were. So you were higher than this valley, and with the trees and whatnot, you couldn't really see that. But the road is easy to follow once you find it. And I'm going to tell you, so this again, you initially thought it was a game trail, but now that you're on it, you can see that it's still got the overgrown cobblestones. And taking it a mile or so, it does open up into a bit of a clearing where you're kind of at the edge of like the top of a ridge, and you're looking down. And from here, you can actually see, and from here, you can basically see the locations of 3 other sets.
Oh,
wow. So from here, you can see kind of like off in the distance on another ridge, there looks like there's there's a campsite of some sort. There's an old tent. You can see a little bit of smoke from a campfire. And at this point, it's pretty early in the morning. It's like 9. It's like, I assume you set off at like daybreak, so it's like 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning right now. But yeah, you can see there's a campsite which is not too far from here. Probably only take you 15 or 20 minutes to get there. But there's tent, bedroll. There's like a little bit of smoke coming up from a fire. Again, also along the road, so that's kind of off to the side, off maybe on a kind of a scraggly path. The road itself continues down into the valley, and you can see that along the side of the road, there looks to be like the remains of a temple. Farther out, you can see where this, like in the valley itself, there is the ruins of a village, several buildings in various states of repair. On the far side of the village, basically opposite to where you are, again, up on more or less the same level that you're at, you can see a farmhouse, and there seems to be like cornfields behind it. And off to the right of where you're standing, kind of like, again, it's a little ways above the town. there's like a very large tree, like a particularly large gnarled tree, and there seems to be something hanging from it.
I'm sure that's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's,
Can't be a person.
Christmas ornaments.
Right.
Yeah. So from a gaming standpoint, Mike, you said there were 3 sets, and I've got 1,
Yep.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, there's so
The
I'm just
farmhouse
going
and
to
the
tell you.
tree
So
are
there's,
in the village, right?
so I'm going to tell you. So there's the villages. So I'm just going to tell you. There are some props to this set. The road to Hester's Mill.
Right.
So the set goal for the road to Hester's Mill is learn the secret history of Hester's Mill.
Okay.
And so the things that are here are, there's that shrine that you would need to go by to get into the village itself. So that's one thing you could explore. And there's also the Vagrant's encampment. Those are part of this particular set.
Gotcha. Oh, I see. Okay.
There's the village. The village is its own set. The farmhouse is its own set, and Gallows Hill is its own set.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting to me how the game's framing these different. I really like
Yep.
that.
So I mean, so you can see these. You can see where the other
Right.
sets are.
Mhm, mhm.
And I'm just going to tell you that because from a gamist perspective, it just kind of
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah.
But the Vagrant's camp and the Vagrant's camp and this what looks like some kind of a roadside shrine are part of this set. And again, the set goal of the road to Hester's Mill is to learn the secret history of Hester's Mill. I think we are going to end this session here.
Cool.
Awesome.
Oh,
It was super
yeah.
fun, Mike.
Yep. I definitely said I get the appeal. Like it's really cool. It's quick, and there's a sense of like how Apocalypse World has the doomsday clock, but it's personal doomsday clock. It's really cool. I like that a lot.
I love how this game has so much risk reward just built right into the dice mechanics. The more you the more you press, the more you gain, but the more you press, the more you stand to lose.
And probably the easiest combats I think I've ever seen, like as far as like just as one die roll done.
Yep, there's one die roll.
I guess it would have kept going.
I mean, you got lucky. You rolled 10 on the you rolled a 10 on the first round of combat. So yeah, and you're facing monsters with an endurance of 9. So yeah, you got them, and no one's weak point came up.
Right.
I have seen Trophy Gold combats go like 4 rounds.
Oh wow.
Wow. What, like 7 ruin went on people's thing? Like that's horrendous.
I've seen combats go long just because you roll like okay, well I'm gonna roll 5 dice. Well, 1 1 2 3 3. 3 and 3 is 6. That's not enough. That's not enough.
and it's each round of you add a new die. Is that what it is?
Each subsequent round you add another die. You add another die to the pool you're rolling.
Yeah, very cool.
I can see that. I mean, the average 2 dice is 8, or 7.5. So like that's not the easiest thing in the world to get on endurance 9 or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yep. All right. Well, this is Blast, folks. If you have a couple of minutes, we can do a little debrief afterwards. But I'm gonna but I am going to end the recording here. Thanks anyone who might have been watching.
Bye.